What is up, guys? Fer here, and today we're going to be talking about Luffy's fastest form, Gear 4th, Snakeman. Now we're going to be talking about its power and why it's very different from his other forms and how certain features in this form makes it work as well as it is. Now, Snakeman was initially showed in the final stages of the fight between Luffy versus Katakuri, and was ultimately the form that would eventually defeat Katakuri because Bondman was a bit too slow for someone who could see into the future. And I feel like people should stop saying that this is Luffy's strongest form because it defeated the strongest person Luffy has fought so far. I feel like everyone by now should realize that One Piece consists of different types of fighters, and that comes with different types of matchups. I feel like this is something Oda emphasizes a lot in some of the fights we get. This isn't Dragon Ball, whereas each form is definitely stronger than the other. Different forms are more specialized in certain area of combat than others. Bondman is stronger than Snakeman, but it isn't faster. I actually have a video ranking the power of all of Luffy's forms in Gear 4th, but I'll talk about that more in detail in a different video. Now, just like every form in Gear 4th, Luffy always starts with the muscle inflation because this adds a lot of strength into his attacks, and it's one of the key bases for all of his forms in Gear 4th. Now, the difference here in Snakeman is that he doesn't add as much air in his body in the same manner as he does with Bondman or Tankman. He uses a bit of air that goes into his arms and legs, and the rest of his body seems pretty relative to his base form from what was shown. And something that's also different is where Luffy places his haki in this form. It's mainly restricted to his legs and arms. His arms for attacks and his legs for movement. But this comes with the downside that he's not as durable as Bondman. His defense is no different from his base form because he doesn't have the bounciness anymore. So he sacrificed a good amount of defense and a fair bit of power for insane attack speed. Now, that's not to say that Luffy's attacks aren't strong in this form. Luffy's attacks still have a lot of power because with more speed, his punches generate power from speeding up. And just like Kizaru says, speed is weight. But because he doesn't have as much mass in this form, his blows aren't going to be on the same level as that of Bondman. I mean, just take a look at the difference between King Kongan and King Cobra. Now, obviously, Luffy has more skill sets in that form that we just haven't seen yet, but it's clear as day that King Cobra is one of the higher tier attacks. Now, in terms of Luffy's attack speed, something that a lot of you would notice is that Luffy's fist is pointed. Now, apart from the fact that they are meant to resemble snakes as a reference to the form, the way Luffy's fist is shaped is also to increase his attack speed, because when Luffy uses culverin, there's less air friction and Luffy's attacks can glide through air faster, and it's a lot easier for it to gain speed. It's essentially used for aerodynamic reasons. Pointed shaped objects usually move faster through air, and so Luffy using his fist in that fashion wasn't necessarily just for show. It has a purpose into making Luffy's attacks faster. Now, Luffy's main form of attack in this form is culverin, whereas he can change the direction of his attacks without losing speed, which ultimately makes Luffy's attacks very unpredictable. And even if you were able to dodge the initial attack, Luffy is going to use that to increase the attack potential of his attack, because the more distance that Luffy's attacks travel, the more speed it gains, which ultimately makes it stronger at impact. So essentially, the more Katakuri avoids Luffy's attacks, the stronger they become. And this is emphasized really well in the anime because Luffy makes his fist travel all over the room, which initially seemed like unnecessary movement, but this was in order for his blows to get more attack potential. And something that you would also notice is that Snakeman doesn't increase Luffy's movement speed beyond that of Bondman. Even though Snakeman is Luffy's fastest form, it is the fastest in terms of Luffy's attack speed. Just because Luffy is slimmer in this form doesn't mean he's faster. If anything, they probably have the same movement speed. And this is a huge misconception in the community, whereas people think Snakeman is the fastest form in terms of everything. Snakeman is only meant to increase Luffy's attack speed beyond that of any other form. He doesn't even have to move in this form because of his stretching abilities and how the form works. And this was shown both in the anime and the manga. For the most part, Luffy is stationary when he attacks. His arms get faster the longer they stretch, so moving would be detrimental to Luffy's overall attack power. And aesthetically, I think it's the best looking form personally because it has a more slicker design compared to Bondman or Tankman, which are forms of hulking muscle. And one could say that this is the Gear 4th version of Gear 2nd because it takes Luffy's speed, adds the culverin concept, and amplifies it to the next level. But overall, this is a very special form, especially after seeing it in the anime, because in the manga you couldn't really tell how certain attacks worked, but the anime definitely did a good job on Snakeman, and I have to say that Snakeman is definitely something else. But what are your thoughts on Snakeman? Where do you guys rank it amongst other forms? Comment down below what you guys think. Like the video because that helps me a lot, and subscribe for more One Piece content. And follow me on Twitter if you do have a Twitter. I talk manga, anime related stuff on there. But it is Pharaoh, and I will see you guys later. Peace.